Hiya folks, it's Will here, back once again for another fight card prediction. We're going to be breaking down UFC Fight Night 100 from Sao Paulo, Brazil, as Ryan Bader faces off against Little Nog in a rematch of their first fight 5 years ago from UFC 119 in a sneaky looking, really good, sneaky good fight night card. Some really good fights throughout this card, and I'm really looking forward to. I mean, the two fight cards, this is on the same day as UFC Belfast. So when the Belfast event finishes, this will start off in Brazil. I really wish they put the two cards together and they could have made a really solid fight night card throughout there. But they went with two different ones here, and it just means I get to watch more fights and analyse more fights. Coming off UFC 205, historic event, just brilliant. I have my UFC Belfast picks out. Please go check them out. As always, if you could like, comment, subscribe, share, I'd be very, very appreciative of that. And as always, please go and support the people that I watch week in, week out when we're watching these fight cards. Your Bookie Beatdowns, your James Lynch, his interviews, Half the Battle with Sean Carey Tattoo now, MMA Kelton, Rockstar Z, MMA Prophet, Brandon Kaplan. There's a host of good guys out there, MMA God. There's just so many guys. I'll put them down the bottom, so please go and show them support there and watch their content. But let's get into this fight card. Starting down in the light heavyweight division, we have Francimar Barroso against the debuting Darren Stewart. Know a little bit about Darren Stewart, coming up, seen him through Cage Warriors there. Really happy to see him that he got his chance in the UFC here. And I like him in this fight here. He's going to be the underdog. I know he's flying halfway across the world to Brazil. And he knows what he has to do here, because he's not going to get a judge's decision in Brazil. But also, his fights are always pretty close. And you never really truly kind of manhandle him per se and beat him down really. He's always in the fight, not unless you get him out there early. Darren Stewart is some legit big power, and I know for a fact that he's moving down to 185 after this, so this is just to get his foot in the door in the UFC and see what he's like here. And this guy's got big power, and I think he's going to go for it really, really early and try and put it on Barroso, because he knows he's not going to get a decision victory here. And I think he can take Barroso down and beat his ass a little bit. I mean, Barroso's coming off, his wins in the UFC are Ronaldo Oliveira. Watched that fight earlier on. Ryan Jimmel, rest in peace Ryan Jimmel. He was always a solid fighter. Elvis Matapcic is nothing. He won a decision victory there back in Boston, and then he lost to Nikita Krylov there. I'm going to pick Darren Stewart here. I think he will be the underdog, which will be a really good start especially for me on Toutmaster. I'm looking to make my way into that. I'm in 5th. Try and make it into the top 3 and make some more of that money. I'll be picking Darren Stewart here to come out. Look to try and maybe take the fight and take the fight to the ground and really use that devastating ground and pound that he's got. I'm going to go Darren Stewart with a first round TKO victory. Now that's a big ask, because Barroso, I know he's not overly good, but what he is solid, and he's a tough guy to put away. Can Darren Stewart do in his debut? I think he can. Bantamweight division, this is an absolutely great fight. Pedro Munhoz against Justin Tank Scoggins. I'm seeing a lot of hype here on Justin Scoggins, and to be honest with you, you maybe should be on him a little bit. Really, really solid matchup here. Coming off that win over Russell Doan back in July there, he was getting lit up a little bit, was Pedro Munhoz, and getting outstruck there, and then latched onto the guillotine choke. And once that guy gets a hold of you, you're in deep shit. And he got done out there very, very quickly after that slow start there. He can't make that slow start here against Justin Scoggins. He is moving up to 135 here. He is going to be the slightly bigger man, not by too much. He has the longer reach, and they're pretty similar height-wise. Movement on the feet, Justin Scoggins has got that karate kind of background, really solid striking, and he's starting to put the ground game together as well. We saw that against Ray Borg, where he kind of stifled Ray Borg, took him down there. Borg was looking for submissions and didn't really even come close to anything there. was scheduled to fight Ian McCall at UFC 201 and got pulled from that fight on the Friday beforehand. He was vastly overweight, couldn't cut the weight, and the kid has grown, so making this move up to 135 I think is the best thing for him. He is in a 2-fight win streak, wins over Josh Sampo and Ray Borg. As I said, a lot of people I see are going with Justin Scoggins, and I see why they are, because he is a fighter that is going to be a little bit more hydrated. He's going to be determined to get off to a good start in this bantamweight division. But Pedro Munhoz is no easy out whatsoever. I won't be betting this fight. I'll be watching very, very closely to see how the matchup goes. But I like Pedro Munhoz. I think if it's hard because I don't think it's hard to see really where he's going to win the fight. I think it's in Brazil. He's going to have the judges in his corner. As bad as that sounds, it's going to come true. If he can keep it competitive on the feet, and he has shown in the past that he has got some really good stand-up as well. So over the 3 rounds, I just like Pedro Munhoz a little bit more, and I'm going to pick him via a very close decision. Heavyweight division. I'm really not going to talk about this because this is really not a great fight. Christian Colombo, I think, is one of the worst heavyweights, along with Yarius Daiho, and they were in probably one of the worst fights of 2016, where they went to a draw there. Luis Henrique should win this fight here. I think he's just the overall better fighter, the younger, more athletic, quicker fighter. Don't count out Colombo, but I don't see him going over to Brazil there. And this is, like I've said before, it's a fight to bring in for Henrique and build him a little bit, coming off that win over Smolikov back, oh Christ, that would be a while ago. So I like Luis Henrique. I think he's going to win. I think he's going to win fairly early. I'm going to go a late first round TKO for Luis Henrique. Bantamweight division, the matchup of 2 guys who I think are pretty much close to being done in the sport here. Johnny Eduardo is a guy that's been in the UFC for a long time, but you barely see him. He has injuries like constantly, and when you see him very sporadically. But sometimes when he does come back, he puts on performances. Came into UFC against Rafael Sunsao, way back at UFC 134. Gave a good account of himself, but Sunsao was a clear class above. Jeff Curran, he was pretty much on the way out then. That was 2012. Then we never seen him again for 2 years, and he came back with a vicious knockout of Eddie Wineland. He has that in his repertoire where he can catch you with brutal shots, so that's something he has to watch out for. But last time out against Aljamain Sterling, he kind of he froze, and Aljamain Sterling danced round him, and when he got the opportunity to finish him, he took that neck and put in the guillotine choke here. But he does have a very good opponent here, a opponent I think he matches up very well with. Manny Gamburyan, this guy I think he's pretty much done in the sport. If he loses this one, I don't think we see him sticking around. And I don't think he really has to. He's taken damage. That knockout to John Dodson was scary. That was so quick. Dodson, his speed was in and out there, and he just put a beating on Manny Gamburyan. Saying that, he beat Scott Jorgensen. Don't know what that guy's doing anymore. He's not in the UFC. I don't even think he's fighting. Cody Gibson, he is the Tashi Palace champion now, I believe. That was a beautiful guillotine. That was his debut down at 135. I just think that this is going to stay standing. I think that's more into Johnny Eduardo's wheelhouse here, and he's going to catch Manny with a shot if he gets aggressive. Sometimes he's a little bit submissive on the feet, and he doesn't throw enough strikes. So that's something I think he has to do. He has to use that kind of little bit of lateral movement, throw some leg kicks at Manny, and then try and open up maybe with a 1-2 body head, and he will catch Manny with something. I've got no doubt about it. Manny is tough, no doubt about it, but I just think he is on his way out the sport, and that's the reason here I am picking Johnny Eduardo. I think, will he stop Manny? I think he can. Yeah, I'm going to try and pick a bit more stoppages here. For Belfast, it was a decision-laden card. I'm going to go Johnny Eduardo with a TKO in round number 2. Light heavyweight division, Marcos Rogerio de Lima against Gadzhimurad Antigulov. Antigulov is a really good addition to the UFC. A guy that I've been watching outside, 18-4 record. One of those solid Russian dudes coming in that you can never take lightly. And but in saying that, he has a tough fight here against De Lima, who I'm getting impressed with a lot. I saw him, I think it was 197 against Clint Hester, and we all know this guy's a power hitter, and he throws bad intentions. and we've seen that in the Tough Show. Came into the UFC. Igor Krajats knocked his block off. Hitchers and Moera, that was another one. Lost to Krylov, gave a good account of himself, but still got caught in the submission there. And then came out with the arm triangle choke where he beat up Hester and then went to the ground, and he just locked in that thing, and Hester was not getting out of it. Close fight. I think this could end up being a very close fight or very one-sided. And I'm going to lean on being... it's hard to tell because Antigulov is a really decent fight and a good addition to that 205 division. Much needed, along with Paul Craig here from Scotland. We need some more of these guys coming in that hopefully can move on and challenge into that top 10, because that division is sparse at the minute. I think I just feel more confident picking De Lima. If he can stop the takedowns from Antigulov, and he will have the advantage on the feet, and with that power he can take it, and that power goes throughout the 3 rounds as well. I think that De Lima can catch him there and really put him to sleep, and I think that's what he has to do, because if the longer this fight goes, I think Antigulov could really come into it. I'm going to go Marcus De Lima via TKO round number 2. Middleweight division, Cezar Ferriera against Jack Hermansson. I like this matchup for Jack Hermansson. A lot of people are writing off this guy on his debut at the UFC, saying he's not UFC caliber, which was complete baloney. This guy is a really all-action fighter. His work ethic is sickening. His output is sickening. He will throw a lot of shots to put up against the cage and just work to really get that dominant position. And he won that fight, I thought, fairly easily against Scott Askham in his debut. And I was happy with him. I think for a guy that we've watched around here for the last 2 or 3 years, it was nice to see him get his UFC win, and I thought he did it pretty convincingly. And I think he's got another good matchup here with Cezar Ferriera. It's hard to really know what you're going to get with Matante, because he's sometimes, like earlier on, when he first went to UFC, he was a destroyer, but his chin is gone, and I think that Jack Hermansson can keep him at the end of the jab, and if he throws that right hand and then follows it up with something, he can really knock out Cezar Ferriera. In saying that, Cezar Ferriera is on a 2-fight win streak. He beat Uluwale Bambose and Anthony Smith. I think Anthony Smith is one of the worst middleweights in the UFC personally. There is middleweights outside the UFC who deserve the shot more than this guy, and I don't think we'll see him around much longer. But in saying that, he won that fight, very close, but he did win that fight, definitely. And I just think Jack can catch his chin here and take him down. He has to be careful when he takes Ferriera down, because he does have skills on the ground, and it's very kind of unpredictable down there as well. He can throw up a lot of arm triangles like we've seen in the past, and he can usually, for the most part, stifle takedowns as well. But I think Jack Hermansson can finish this dude, and I think that would put out a statement. Come at the UFC, a nice decision win, get a finish here, and move himself on a little bit. So I'm going to go... am I going to go a finish? No, I'm not. I'm going to go Jack Hermansson via a pretty dominant 3-round decision victory here, and getting his second win in the UFC. Moving on, we have Sergio Moraes against Zach Ottow. Big props to Zach Ottow in his UFC debut. I didn't really give him too much of a chance. The opposition he fought outside the UFC was not great, but he came in there and he beat a veteran, a legit veteran in Josh Burkman. Props to the guy for that. Back in the Portland card, and he's getting a quick turnaround here against Sergio Moraes. Now, I'm actually a bit of a fan of Sergio Moraes, but it's hard to see sometimes which guy really turns up, because sometimes his fight IQ lets him down, and the guy just has to... Sometimes he likes to play in his feet a little bit too much, and he did that with Luan Chagas, and he got caught and he got dropped in that one, and that went to a draw. It was a split. It was a draw there. Knocked out Omar Akhmedov, was down 2 rounds, came out big in the third, knocked him out. Mikhail Lebu was a tough guy. The Fringe boys are tough. Got a win there. Beat Neil Magny, submitted Neil Magny. So this guy, there's a clear way for this guy to win his fight. Get the fight to the ground, and his jiu-jitsu shines. And I expect to see that here. None of this crap that we've seen against Chagas, wanting to engage on the feet a little bit. Take it to the ground where you're strongest and where you probably got an advantage over this guy, and win the fight. So I'm going to go Sergio Moraes. I'm going to go submission. maybe late first, early second round. Welterweight division, this is a really fun fight. Warrley Alves looking to rebound after his first loss against Kamaru Usman. As I said, Alves coming off his first loss, and then he gets a guy who's on a little bit of a streak and is really a tough opponent. It's a really fun matchup. I must say, a really intriguing matchup that I'm looking forward to seeing. But I can't. I think Usman has enough in him to weather the storm in that first round, and as long as he doesn't leave his neck or leave a body part in there where Alves can get a hold of it, because he has a legit, once he gets a hold of something, he's got a grip on it that is really hard to get out of. But we've seen that the longer you can keep this guy in the fight, the more he wilts, and I think that Usman has the kind of game to put him up against the cage and work on him and go for takedowns and just beat him up a little bit. I think that Usman is a talented fighter coming through. I mean, wins over Leon Edwards. Edwards just beat Tumanov. Grappled with him there. Alexander Yakovlev. I think I picked Yakovlev. I don't know. That was probably a silly pick that I made there. I like him in this one here. I must admit, he's one of my more confident picks in the card. Heading down to Brazil there. I think he's just going to grind on Warrley Alves, and I think he's going to get a pretty... I can maybe see Alves getting the first round, and then I can see him being dominant as this fight goes into 2 and 3. But we are in Brazil here, and Warrley could come out and put on a show here, and maybe get a stoppage over it. I just don't see it. I think I'm more confident in picking Kamaru. I think he's going to get takedowns, he's going to get dominant positions, and he's going to do enough work to win rounds. So I'm going to go a unanimous decision victory there for Kamaru Usman. Middleweight division, Thales Leites against Krzystof Jotko. I've been pretty terrible picking Jotko fights, and I went with Tamden McCrory last time, and that did not end great. He got absolutely starched by Jotko, and Jotko is a guy I've watched a lot of his fights. I've seen his fights live, 2 or 3 of them, and just a really good professional fighter, and he's making strides in every facet of his game now, and he's got pretty good footwork, he's got a lot of speed, picks his shots nicely, and doesn't kind of over-exert himself, but does enough to get the win there. But he's got that fighting and power, and we've seen that against Tamdan McCrory. If he can put his feet where it needs to go and plant his feet, he can put you to sleep. But he has got a legit step up here in Thales Leites, because Leites he's been a fun fighter since he's come back to the UFC, and you've seen the improvements he's made in his stand-up, and we all know about his talents on the ground. He's a very good jiu-jitsu guy. I mean, he knocked out Francis Cormont with a beautiful knockout. Then he submitted Tim Boach, lost to Bisbin and Musasi, who in my opinion are 2 of the top 5 in that division, 5 or 6 in that middleweight division. And then he beat Chris Camozzi last time out via submission here. I think the hype of, and I mean, Krzystof Jotko, my best fight pick, Stan Levy, has been riding the Jotko train as the underdog, and he's been cashing him big time. I always seem to pick his fights wrong. I always seem to go against him, and I'm going to go against him here as well. I think that Leites is a class above, and he's going to show it here and take this fight to the ground and find a submission. So I'm going to go a second round submission for Thales Leites. Women's strawweight division now. This is the fight I'm very intrigued in, because I put out on Twitter last night, is anybody picking Cortney Casey, and I'll put this out here straight away. I've already got a bet on Cortney Casey here. I took the shot on her as a bit of a Hail Mary play, but I just think all the circumstances kind of line up for a good underdog pick in Cortney Casey, a big underdog pick, let me say, because I got it at plus 400, so it's like 41 odds if you're watching over here in the UK and Ireland. So that's big odds, and the reasons I've went with Cortney Casey here, first of all, Claudia Gadelha is left Nova União. She's went to Jackson Winklejohns, so that could help. It could help, or it could hinder her a little bit. That whole new camp thing can also be a bit hard to kind of get started and get going a little bit. Moving to a new country, is a big thing there. She'll probably have a couple of new coaches in her corner, so she may be learning things here. She is the clear number 2 in that division, make no bones about it. There's Ioana Jędrzejczyk, then there is Claudia Gadelha. All Claudia Gadelha needs is 10 more minutes of cardio, and she more than likely, I think, is the UFC strawweight champion. Legit jiu-jitsu skills, and pretty good. Her stand-up's improving ever since she went to UFC against Leda Maki. She's improved ever since, and she dropped Ioana in the fight. That was a great fight. That's one of my favourite fights of the year, was the one back in July, International Fight Week, where she clearly won the first 2 rounds and then she just gassed. And then Joanna took over and was just the mean bitch that we know she can be. Just violence left, right and centre. And got a beat down for the last 3 rounds. Cortney Casey, she's the bigger girl here. She has the bigger reach. She's dangerous everywhere. She's a really good striker. She can really put her hands out there and put it on you. I saw that in Glasgow. And then she's got skills on the ground. She's a big girl on the ground to really... If she gets a hold of something... It looks like she wants to yank it off like she did with Randa Marcos. And I picked Cortney back at 202. She was a pretty good, decent underdog in that one. And I cashed the bet on her there. I'm going with this here. I've just got a feeling she's going to really put a little bit of a beating on Gadelha. Gadelha fades. Even in the second round, she fades. So she might either come out, win 2 rounds, and Cortney has to come for her. Big in the 3rd round, or Gadelha comes out really easily in the 2nd round. Wins first two, and I think she's going to want to take this to the ground. But I think she has to be very careful down there because Casey is a big girl, as I said, and she just seems to find opportunities to look for submissions. And but it is a big step up for Casey, make no doubt about it. I'm not selling Gadelha short because she is one of the legit girls in that division. And sometimes you have to take a shot on underdog, and I got a little bit of shit last week for picking not enough underdogs and from a guy on there on my comments, and that's fine. But I've been saying all year it's the year of the underdog, and I've hit a lot of underdogs, and this is one that I like. I would take a shot on. When I seen the odds they matched up, I think just with Gadelha's circumstances, can it help her? It's either going to help her big or it's going to hinder her. So I'm going to go Cortney Casey. I think she has to finish the fight though, and that's the thing there, because I don't think she's going to get a decision, not unless she's very dominant with it. But I'm going to go Cortney Casey via a knockout, a TKO victory in round number 2, and that's a big ask, I say, because Joanna couldn't do it. But I'm going with the Hail Mary pick here, the big underdog play, and we'll see if it cashes. It's worth the shot. Co-main event. Great to see the return of Thomas Almeida, one of my favourite fighters to watch, and he's got a really fun matchup here against Albert Moraes. Now, Thomas Almeida coming off that big loss to Cody Garbrandt, and I'm sure after that one he really wants to get himself back in there and show the world why. People were saying, oh, this guy's not legit, da 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 da. Absolute bullshit. This guy is one of the legit top probably have to say top 10 bantamweights at the moment, maybe even higher. I'm probably selling him a little bit short there. He just got out. Cody Garbrandt was too quick, too precise, and was in there before Almeida could get anything off. And he does start a little bit slowly. We've seen that against Brad Pickett. He starts very slowly and he gets hit with big shots, and that's something he needs to really work on. Down there, the gold team, Tata Gold team. So hopefully his defense is improved on there, but this is the perfect opponent here to come back to. Albert Moraes is going to come forward and he's going to want to engage with Thomas Almeida. Now, he could hurt Almeida. Almeida could still have those kind of butterflies of that last loss, or the thoughts still in his head about being dropped and knocked out when inside the first 2 minutes. And Moraes has the power to really put them down. I just think this is the perfect opponent. Moraes is going to come on to Almeida here. He needs to start quick, and if he does, he will catch the chin of Albert Moraes. I've no doubt about it. So that's why I'm going to go a first round TKO victory for Thomas Almeida. It's a little bit crappy because I am a big fan of Moraes. I think he's a really good prospect, and looking forward to seeing him in his UFC tenure. after he's drawn his first fight. But like Thomas Almeida big in this one, definitely in my top 2 confident picks on this card. And the main event, I can't believe that they're doing this again. Ryan Bader against Antonio Rogerio Nogueira. These guys fought UFC 119, and it was as clear a unanimous decision as you'll ever see. Bader outstruck him. He took him down 5 or 6 times, passed the guard, just beat him up really badly. And 5 years later, Ryan Bader is a completely different fighter to he was back then at UFC 119. His striking is really, really good, very, very improved, and just he's putting it all together. I mean, the knockout Ilir Latifi came out very strong in that one. He caught him with a knee and he just folded Ilir Latifi. I did not see that one coming, I must admit. I thought after the loss to Rumble he might go back into the pack, but it's clear that this guy is a top 5 lightweight in the world. He's probably sitting in that number 5 position. You've got DC, you've got Rumble, you've got Jones, you have Gustafsson, and then you've probably got him there. So I just see him really on the feet. To be fair, Nogueira is really, really good. He's got that boxing background, but I think that Bader's going to take this to the ground and he's just going to put his will on Nogueira, and as this fight goes later, I think he will just TKO him. So I'm going to pick Ryan Bader. I'm going to go a late second, maybe early 3rd round TKO there for Ryan Darth Bader. So that's my picks for UFC Fight Night 100, Bader versus Nogueira. Check out my UFC Belfast Mousasi versus Hall 2 picks. I'll be back. I fly back from Belfast on Sunday, so probably Monday I will put out my video for UFC. Is it Melbourne? Robert Whittaker versus Derek Brunson in a great main event, but probably on one of the worst cards of the UFC in 2016. It's a terrible card below the main event, and it did get shaken up with Jacare and Rockhold getting pulled as well. So check out my picks when that comes out next Monday. Please like, comment, subscribe. Please go support the guys down below me there, and good luck with your bets if you're putting any on, and good luck with your picks, and enjoy the event when it comes round. I'll see you all very, very soon. Peace.